You and I met at Founders, and you told me of the story. You went to Liberia. You were literally on a ship, a kind of medical ship off the coast, and you said that completely changed your life because you were living it up and connected to a pretty high life here in the city.
Yeah, selling bottles to people to watch this show, right? And clubs. Well, yeah, I'd left a decade of nightlife behind for this country I'd never heard of called Liberia that had just come out of a 14-year civil war. And I volunteered as a photojournalist alongside some doctors, and we just saw the most shocking things. 6,000 people would come to meet our doctors, for 1,500 surgery slots. And I spent a year there, and then I signed up for another year of service. And I learned that dirty water was making so many of these people sick. And that as we went into the communities, we saw people drinking from rivers, from ponds, water we wouldn't let our dogs drink. Yeah, unthinkable.
And what's amazing, and I remember this about the conversation that you and I had, is that you were reaching out to the same people who frequent the nightclubs saying, honestly, look at these pictures, right? Because you were taking a lot. Can you do something? And that was basically the beginning of Charity Water, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, at 2 in the morning in some DJ booth of one of the DJs that used to spin for us, saying, look at these pictures that I've seen, don't you want to help? And I think he might have thrown me out of the DJ booth and said, you're killing my buzz. But so many people, from my former decade got involved, and some volunteered, some, their nightclubs had sponsored water projects throughout Africa.
And I mean, some very big name tech founders as well. Jack Dorsey, very well known for Twitter and Square, a very big fan of yours that gives money. And now you have something like $70 million. That's what your organization has raised for these clean water projects, right?
Yeah, so it's been a wild ride over the last 5 years, and we're really trying to run it like a tech startup. We have no equity, so our shareholders are the 65-year-old women that are walking miles for water. But we're trying to grow it quickly. We've averaged about 100% year-over-year growth in a charitable sector that's been challenged. And I think one of the keys is storytelling is really this transparent model where 100% of the public donations go to the projects, and then we track every single dollar using
you have cameras
tech.
set up. When you say startup, you mean it in almost all of its senses. I mean, I know you have cameras set up so that when donors do give money, they can actually see the project on the ground being built.
Photos and GPS. Yeah, I mean, we crowdsourced the world's first drilling rig, and it was $1.2 million. And rather than go to one donor, we went to 13,000 people who gave a little bit of money. And the minute the rig was shipped from Italy to Ethiopia to Djibouti, then to Ethiopia, we put a GPS unit on it. So every time it drills, it tweets. And everybody that gave, $10 or $100 is able to follow the drilling rig in real time, as it helps 40,000 people a year get clean water. So that connection is so important to us.
That connection is so important because a lot of people very cynically, when they give to charity, just assume that 60% goes to the overhead, but this is actually 100%.
And we even pay back credit card fees, which people thought we were crazy to do. But if you donated $1,000 and we lost the 4% from Amex, we separately raise that and send all $1,000 to the field.
Scott, I mentioned Jack Dorsey, one of your big supporters, but I know that you have a lot of support in the VC and angel community. That's how I met you, through my contacts in that world. Who has been the most influential? Who has given you these ideas of every time we drill you get a tweet? Because these are the ideas that come with a startup.
I think it's just it's the people that work at Charity Water. I mean, the average age is closer to 30, and we everybody's on Twitter, everybody's on Pinterest. We use the tools of today to tell stories and connect people. There was one tech founder who was actually instrumental, a guy called Michael Birch, who had founded AOL with his wife, founded Bebo, which he sold to AOL, and he gave us $1 million gift to build the organization really early on. Was kind of the first person to believe in us, and then he helped us build a fundraising platform which raised another $17 million to date.
Now, I know your symbol is the jerry can. Anyone who's spent time in a place where there's not readily accessible water will know, or I guess serious campers as well. What is the next campaign that comes out? How do you plug into the social media to launch the campaigns to the best of your ability?
So the big campaign idea has been around birthdays. It's been asking people to turn their birthday into a giving moment. So instead of throwing parties, instead of asking for gifts or even accepting gifts that they probably don't even need, to ask for their age in dollars, and that 100% of that money goes. So in a week, we're going to launch the September campaign, which we do every year to celebrate our anniversary. This year it's for Rwanda. So we're going to raise $1.7 million, provide 100% water coverage for a couple sectors there. For about 25,000 people. And what's cool about that program, the government is contributing more than $1 million of its own money. So we'll ask people to help us with 1.7. The government will come in with $1 million. We'll track all the projects. People will be able to see where every dollar went, see them with photos and GPS. And then every year on our anniversary, we do a satellite broadcast from the villages. So on September 7th, all of the people that have fundraised, that have given, will be connected in real time to the projects.
Now, you were named a young global leader. We know you're on the Forbes 40 under 40 list, also an Impact 30 list. How do these titles or recognition for you help Charity Water? I guess it helps get the word out at a very basic level.
I guess, that it feels great to be. I think I was 39 on the list, so I feel sometimes like the token charity guy, like, oh, let's find a couple charity guys and just sneak them in at the end. So, it's great to be recognized with some peers, and the fun thing is that so many of our supporters are actually, under 40. So Jack Dorsey and Daniel Ek and Sean Parker and some of these real innovators. So that's kind of who we hang out with. So instead of necessarily hanging out with the big charities, we're hanging out with people trying to grow their organizations who are thinking big. I mean, we're going for scale. So we're trying to help 100 million people in the decade to raise $3 billion. This is impossible. Any charity would tell you this is impossible, but you get along at Jack Dorsey and they'll say you're not thinking big enough.
That's good. Good influences and obviously an extraordinarily noble goal.